Okay, so this is about decimals with metric measurement. So we have a meter stick here, okay? 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters. We know that there are 100 little centimeters in this whole meter, okay? That makes sense to everybody. Just talked about that. Then we talked about our flat here. We put this on, okay? And even though my drawing didn't come out quite right, we know that there are 10 longs in a flat, right? 10 longs. And each long has 10 cubes, all right? But more importantly, what we just discovered is that each cube is equal to 1 centimeter. Okay, this is very important because when we're talking about decimals, right, decimals, when we're measuring in metrics, that's just 1 centimeter that equals. Okay, so we know that a flat has 100 cubes in it, right? If I put this on here, I could go 100 times. Okay, so we talked about what would happen if I took my flat apart, which I can't do because this flat's attached. But if I had a flat that I could break apart, okay, we know that I'd have 100 little cubes like this, and that this flat could actually, let's say this is row 1 of the flat, goes to 10 centimeters. Row 2 of the flat goes to 20 centimeters. I could actually spread all these cubes out all along my meter stick. And so the length of these cubes would equal a meter, would equal 100 centimeters. Does that making sense to you guys now? Okay. So we also know that there are 10 longs, right, in a flat, and each long equals 10 centimeters. Okay, so we could go 10 across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All right. You could just spread those out, and I would have 10 of these equaling a meter. Okay, so you guys got pretty good at knowing, well, this is 1/10, right? Do you remember that? Okay, this long is 1/10 of this whole. Okay, this cube is 1/100th of this flat. Does that make sense still to you guys? Do you remember? You've worked on this and you're doing a good job with it. I know it's still a little bit tricky. Okay. Well, it's the same thing when we talk about a meter stick. Okay. So if you keep in mind that this is sort of like your meter stick, even though it's a square. Okay. You kind of have to unfold it like one of those fancy measuring sticks that kind of fold up. You could like unfold this. Would look like this. How much is this? How much is this of a meter, do you think? I want you to get an answer in your head. Okay, give me a thumbs up when you think you have the answer. Okay, well, this would be, and I want to write it down for you so you can see. Okay, this would be 1/10 of a meter. Okay, because it's the same, just like this is your meter. All right, 1/10, or another way to write 1/10 in the decimals is, remember, 0.1. That's 1/10. Okay, now I want you to think about this one. If I asked you, how much is this of a meter? Okay, how much is this of a meter? Give me a thumbs up if you think you know this answer, or you could get it pretty easily. Okay, all right, how many of you know what it is of this flat? If I ask you to tell me what it is of this flat, could you tell me what part of the flat that is? Give me a thumbs up if you could. Thumbs sideways or thumbs down so I kind of get a temperature reading of you. Okay, very good. So I'm going to tell you the answer. It's 1/100th, right? It's just the same as this, except it's all unfolded. So 1/100th, remember, looks like this. 1 on the top and 100 on the bottom when we're talking about a fraction, or 0.01. Okay, that's 1/100th. Now, you take the same idea, okay, because in your work that you're going to have to do today, it's going to ask you about tenths of a meter, or, 12/100ths of a meter, or whatever. You're going to have to think about that. So, if I line up, 3 of them, okay, going across, how many of you could tell me how much of the meter I covered? Whoops, would like to have 3 if I could not drop them. How many of you could tell me how much of the meter I covered? Thumbs up, thumbs sideways, or thumbs down. Okay, thank you. You would notice that I have 1/10, 2/10, 3/10. Okay, I would have covered 3/10 of the meter, or 0.0, nope, not 0.03. I almost said 3/100 of the meter. 3/10 is 0.3. Okay, but I almost said 3/100 of the meter. That would have meant, if I had said 3/100 of the meter, that would have meant not this, which looks like a lot, but it would have only meant this much. Let me show you. You're going to be surprised how small it is compared to that. Look, it's just this much of the meter. Do you see what a difference a 0 in the wrong spot could make? Just this teeny tiny bit. That's 3/100. Whereas this here is 3/10. This is a lot more, isn't it? So if somebody asks you if you want 3/100 of a cake or 3/10 of a cake, you should say 3/10 if you like the cake. Okay? So for 3/100, 3/100, okay, or 0.03. 3/100. Okay, you see, it doesn't look like much of a difference, but when you're talking cake, it's a difference. Okay? Or pizza or something else you really like. Okay, or meters, that's the difference. Okay, if someone asks you if you want to grow 3/100 of a meter or 3/10 of a meter, you can think about what you might tell them. All right? So for your work today, I want you to go back and try this again, because it's asking you about the number of longs and number of cubes. It's page 119. Okay? And then we're going to go over it after you've worked on it. Okay? Questions?